So welcome to today's Greater Life CoffeeCast. And with today being the pillar of home as our focus, my question is this. What are your rituals of the hearth? What are your rituals of the hearth? And I was pondering this because, of course, the CoffeeCast is designed to be a little shot of insight, inspiration, to set you up for a greater day, and through a greater day, a greater life. And, of course, the hearth, back before electricity was even a thing, the hearth was the heart of the home. It was where our fire was. And our fire gave us the capacity to cook, to stay warm. And, of course, it would be the place we would gather around, right? And we would gather around the hearth and we would eat, we would share stories, we would share the happenings of the day, right? And the hearth would be, in terms of being the heart, it would also be a place, therefore, where rituals would naturally develop. Rituals in terms of little routines in this sense. Maybe not so much in the sacred sense, but perhaps too, people would have conducted any fire-based rituals. The lighting of candles and things would have been done thanks to the fire that was burning in their hearth. Okay, so it got me to thinking, like, what are some of the rituals of the hearth? And I am particularly pondering this at the moment because Mike and I are wondering what we should call the core membership for Greater Life, the core membership offer that we share with the world. And of course, we have the 4 pillars of health, happiness, home, and hustle. And I guess my sense is that the hearth is perhaps where we gather as a community to share our stories of trying to move towards a greater life across each of those 4 pillars. And so, thinking in all of this, I was wondering, what are some of my rituals of the hearth? And what are those things that involve, or would have involved it back in the day? Fire and heat. And of course, this means cooking, okay? This means heating things. And so for me, certainly it would be in the morning coffee sometimes, but recently I've been more on the kind of hot chocolate tip. This morning, as I talk, I am brewing myself a homemade chai tea. And very much so, if I look back across the last 10 years or so, those rituals of hot drinks have very much been a part of my rituals of the hearth, sharing with, my wife and partners that I've had, a hot drink in the evening with, very often accompanied with a little bar of chocolate. And then we would catch up, share stories, check in with each other. And so those little rituals of a hot drink and a piece of chocolate became, very, very powerful bookends to my day. And the other one recently with my ex was the ritual of rice and greens, using the fire to cook, using the abundant spring cabbages and broccoli leaves that have sprung up in my polytunnel, cooking those up into a really nice kind of sarg type dish to share with some brown rice. And that was a really nice ritual as well, just with my ex, was just to kind of eat such delicious, wholesome food together. And so, when you think in that context, those rituals that involve heating things and gathering together, I know that just recently my son was like, can we have a fire? We were getting back from the beach. He was like, can we have a fire? And it was, very warm. There was no need for a fire, yet we did. We put a little fire on and we gathered and we had cuddles and things. So, cuddles by the fire, stories by the fire. And if perhaps right now you can't think of any rituals of the hearth, then here is an invitation. How might your life be enriched by starting to bring in some of those little things that consciously you do for joy and pleasure around your hearth, be that your fire, be that your cooker, and therefore, by extension also, your dining table. So yeah, that's my invitation for today. It's something you can probably tell, it's one thing I love about these podcasts is very often my thoughts will clarify as I share them. And it strikes me perhaps, as I close up, the significance of hearth containing two utterly essential words for our thriving as human beings: heart and earth. And that perhaps the hearth is where the heart and the earth meet. And that if we do not tend to our hearth, then our capacity to live in our hearts, to share from our hearts, and to be grounded in with the earth, and to let the forces of nature shape us into a force of nature, well, perhaps that is inhibited because we are not connected to our hearth. We are not tending to our hearth. So today, how can you tend to your hearth? And how can you bring in those little rituals of the hearth that can enrich today, tomorrow, this week, this life?